Hey, what's going on, guys? This is going to be my out-of-box review for the real grade Unicorn Gundam 02 Banshee Norn. And I just want to say that I know there's a lot of unicorn fatigue going around with people saying that we're getting the new re-release of the Master Grade Banshee and then just all the different versions of the unicorn that we have. And with the real size unicorn there at Gundam Base Tokyo, we're getting more versions of the real grade unicorn. And just there's a lot of unicorn kits out there, and I totally understand, but while building this kit, what I kept thinking is that for how many different unicorn kits that I've built, it's still just a fun kit to build. It's a design that just looks so good, and just the process of building it, even though I've done it so many times, and all the kits honestly are all quite similar, you just don't really get tired of it, or at least I don't. I just really enjoy it every time. So I usually prefer the Banshee Norn in unicorn mode like this, so that's how I've got it displayed here for you guys at first, but I will be transforming it, of course, into destroy mode here in a bit. If you guys haven't watched my review of the real grade unicorn kit, just the original unicorn kit, you can check that out. I did review that back when that came out a few months ago. This kit pretty much is all exactly the same, with the new parts for the collar and the head to make it into the Banshee, and then we have the new parts for the backpack, the Armed Armor XC, which you can see there folded up on the back, and then we have the Armed Armor DE shield for it, which is some new parts that attach onto the shield, and then we have the revolving launcher, which attaches onto the beam magnum. So basically, this is everything of the real grade unicorn plus some extra parts. Now, one question that you might have is, can you build just the regular unicorn kit out of this kit with just the parts that you have left over? And the answer is almost. The only parts that you're missing of the regular unicorn is the V-fin. So you could make essentially a unicorn Gundam with the Banshee's kind of forked V-fin there at the top. And really, if you wanted, I think it wouldn't really take much effort to just add a little bit of plot plate on there, do a little bit of reshaping to the V-fin that you're given, and you could probably turn it into a unicorn V-fin without too much trouble. But anyway, a huge thank you as always, guys, to USA Gundam Store. Do check out the link to their site down below. Use my coupon code ZakuAurelius10 to save 10% on your purchases there, including this kit and whatever else you want to check out on there. And let's get a closer up look at this guy. Okay, so a couple things I'll point off right off the bat is that I did put a couple of the stickers on here, and as you can see, they don't look too good. You can definitely see that those are just stickers on there, and even the gold ones, I was excited at the fact that the stickers they gave us were like gold, but the gold is pretty dark. It's not very bright, so you can't really see it all that well. I'm sorry, I'm trying to catch this in the reflection. And you can just see the outline of the sticker so bad, so the gold ones even look worse than the white ones, and most of them are gold, as you can see on here, so I really wouldn't recommend using these. They just don't really look that good. And with it being a real grade, there's a lot of them, so it's going to take you a lot of effort to get results that are honestly not really all that great. One thing that I did do is also stick the stickers here on the joints, though, these kind of silver metallic stickers there on the elbows and knee joints. The other thing too that I want to point out here briefly is the backpack. Now obviously these parts on the XC should be closed up tightly, but there's not really any latch or like peg to make them connect tightly, and I really wish that there would have been. I think if you finagle with it long enough, you can probably get the parts to rest together pretty tightly close together, but it's just kind of annoying. The same thing goes with the shoulder armor. Because of the transformation of the shoulder armor, sometimes it's kind of hard to get it to close up entirely. You often have this little gap there. It's a very minor thing, but it's something that can be kind of annoying. Onto the articulation, the head will go up to there.
Wow.
It's really hard to see, but there is a clear red part in there for the visor.
Wow.
And then down to there, no problem with that articulation.
Wow.
It's a little bit tricky to do if you've got big hands like me, but you can open up the chest cockpit hatch like so. Of course, there's no pilot inside for these real grade kits, but you can open that up. It's a cool gimmick.
Wow.
The arm seems to be able to come up to here, just a little bit more than perpendicular to the kit.
Wow.
However, the shoulder joint will swing forward quite nicely there for a forward reach.
Wow.
Like much of this kit, it's very tight, so just be careful when you're turning these parts. But anyway, there's a rotation here at the top of the arm.
Wow.
And then a nice double joint in the elbow for you to be able to bring the arm up as far as here.
Wow.
And then the wrist is just on a ball joint. As you'll notice for the time being, I have just the closed fists on here, and I really like the look of the closed fist for this kit. Definitely an improvement over past real grade kits where the closed fist is just like the fist that's included on the B runner, on like the pre-molded inner frame, and it's usually like really flat and really just not really looking very good, but in this case the closed fists on this kit do look really nice.
Wow.
As for any stomach movement here, there's a little bit of like bending forward and back and side to side, very slightly, but really not all that much. Really most of what you're going to get out of the center section here is a rotation at the hips.
Wow.
Quickly just back around to the backpack briefly, these new Armed Armor XC parts are replacing where you would normally plug in the beam saber handles. Instead, the beam saber handles are plugged into the Armed Armor XC here.
Wow.
Otherwise, nothing else really moves here on the backpack except for the opening gimmick for destroy mode.
Wow.
And there goes his head.
Wow.
Down here to the front skirts, those will lift up nicely, and the side skirts as well will move up out of the way.
Wow.
The back skirt's also probably my least favorite part of the Unicorn because every time you transform it into destroy mode, and this is true for every version of the kit, even the high grade, which doesn't transform, once it's in destroy mode, you can't handle the kit without accidentally pressing those back down. It's quite annoying.
Wow.
But as far as the articulation goes, those do also move up and out of the way plenty, so there shouldn't be any problems with the skirts getting in the way of anything.
Wow.
The legs can split all the way out to the side, so no problems there.
Wow.
And then all the way forward and back also shouldn't be a problem. We have a nice double joint here in the knee, very similar to the perfect grade if you've ever built that.
Wow.
And the ankle joint as well, also very similar to the master grade and the perfect grade. Much of this kit is, as I mentioned before, but those will also move side to side just a little bit here.
Wow.
Whole foot can be brought forward to there and then back down to there, so that's quite nice.
Wow.
And one of the most praiseworthy parts about this kit is that really nice articulation is not hindered at all by the transformation, whether it's in unicorn mode or destroy mode. Pretty much all the articulation is all intact either way, so it's actually quite nice to see that all be able to packed into a 1/144 scale kit.
Wow.
Now let's go over some of the other stuff we get with the kit here. We have a set of open hands, which are really, really nice. I quite like these.
Wow.
We also get a set of left and right holding hands, which are kind of like trigger finger hands. The trigger finger is slightly extended there. Here's the left one. The right one I have already attached here onto the beam magnum. So the beam magnum is the same as with the unicorn version, but in this case, obviously we have the revolving launcher attached onto the front. This can be removed if you don't want to have it on there.
Wow.
There's a small green sticker there for the camera and other stickers too. Again, I didn't really put anything on. I did put this one here on the front on the revolving launcher.
Wow.
Otherwise, this does open up and you can remove this ammo cartridge and have that plugged onto the back skirt or something like that. Unfortunately, there's no extra ammo. Like with the HG and I believe the MG as well, you get an extra ammo set to be able to plug onto the back skirt for storage. But for some reason with the real grade, they don't give you any extras. And also, it's not molded in a different color. It really should be in a different color, almost closer to this color here of the revolving launcher. But you will just have to do some painting on that. Of course, the secondary handle also does open out to the side. And then we have a peg here on the other side where that can be plugged onto either the back skirt or the back of the forearm.
Wow.
And finally, we have this little tab at the back, which will flip up and you can plug this onto the center of the backpack. Now, this kit with the Armed Armor XC on there, that will kind of be getting in the way. You could do that if you really wanted to.
Oh.
Next, we have our ever so tiny 1/44 scale pilot figure here of Riddy. And as you can see, I actually snapped mine at the legs while I was cleaning up the nubs on it. So I'll have to just get a little glue and glue that back on there. So do just be very careful. The legs are very, very thin on this kit, and so but a little bit of plastic cement should just heal that up nice and well, but do be careful.
Wow.
We have an action-based connector for connecting this onto a standard action base.
Wow.
We have a couple options for the V-fin. What I've got on there now is just a fixed pose one for the unicorn mode. This one here is a fixed one for the destroy mode, and what I would recommend doing is using just one of these for whichever mode you're going to choose. But you do have a transforming one which comes in two parts, which can be opened and closed. The problem is that when that's actually on and closed, it's closed enough, but I think just the fixed pose one is just ultimately going to look better in either mode. So
Wow.
we have this beam bayonet, which has this really cool effect part for it, very sharp and really nicely molded clear blue effect part for this. This is supposed to go into the revolving launcher. This can be just taken out and handheld as just a handheld like beam saber weapon like that.
Wow.
But you can also pop the cap on the revolving launcher and pull out this little part here. And you turn that around the other way, slide that back in, replace the cap on the front, and you can plug that in there like so, and it's pretty secure.
Wow.
So that's going to be extending your already quite long beam magnum to be even longer with that long beam effect part on there.
Wow.
Then we do have a set of clear pink regular beam saber effect parts here.
Wow.
Can be used with the beam saber handles in the Armed Armor XC. You can pull those out and handhold those. Otherwise, we do have the beam tonfas here in the forearms, of course. You can flip those out and have it on here like so.
Wow.
And then of course we have the main attraction here, which is the new shield parts to turn your regular shield, which is inside of there, into the Armed Armor DE. So it's basically new parts that will attach onto the bottom and top of the shield, and just kind of the regular normal shield is slid there in between. And we do have just a connection which will allow you to plug that onto the side or the back of the arm.
Wow.
This thing is pretty awesome. It's nice that we have some nice color separation for these like purplish gray parts here, here, and here.
Wow.
And then of course when it's opened up, you can reveal the psycho frame inside.
Wow.
Slide that lower part back, open up the parts of the main shield there. And there you go. It's a pretty awesome, impressive looking shield. I always loved the look of the Armed Armor DE. I was really tempted to get the Unicorn Bandesine real grade kit just because I wanted to have the Armed Armor DE for the Unicorn as well. It's such a cool looking accessory. I really like this a lot. Now the question is, how stable is this going to be? Because on the Master Grade version, it's just too heavy and the kit just can't hold it at all. And the Perfect Grade as well also has trouble holding it. So let's see how well the real grade does here. Okay, and so as you would have guessed, the Armed Armor DE doesn't really cause any weight issues at all. With it being 1/44 scale, it's still big, but it's not like that big. There's not that much weight in the plastic parts there, so they're really not going to have that much of an effect. And as I said before, most of the joints in this kit are quite tight, so it's not really going to have any weight issues with that. So that's good. That's definitely plus points to this kit over the Master Grade. One thing that I will say is that while the articulation and overall stability and the minority of weight issues with this kit do set this kit much higher than other versions of it, one problem that it does still have is that while you're moving things around and trying to situate things and trying to pose the kit, you will still have some problem issues. Like I'm noticing the head does pop off kind of easily. The thigh armor, when you're trying to move around the legs, because the joint in the hips is quite tight, so when you're having to kind of pull that pretty hard to pull the legs into a pose, you can often pull the thigh armor apart there, and that often comes apart. And the shoulder joint is also really quite tight in terms of bringing the shoulder up and down vertically. One thing I remember it does show you in the manual is with those pre-molded frame parts from the B-Runner is to bend them back and forth a few times before you actually put the parts on there, so like during the construction process. And that's just to kind of loosen them up a little bit, and I would definitely recommend you guys do that. If you forget to do that step, you will experience those joints being very tight and possibly even breaking them if you try forcing them too hard, so do be careful. So okay, here he is all transformed into destroy mode. I won't bother going through and showing the whole transformation on camera. There's not really much point. I think it's just kind of boring to sit through. It's not really all that interesting. It's not really all that complicated. Kind of the most important thing that you guys should be worried about is how it looks when it's transformed and if there's any problems with the transformation. So as you can see, here's how it looks when it's transformed. It looks very good. There's a few parts that I don't really like too much. The gap in the shoulder armor when it's opened up fully, you can see a little kind of a gap in there. It looks a little bit unsightly. But overall, everything works well. There's definitely some points of the articulation that are even much better and like simplified, but work better than on the Master Grade, so that's nice as well. And that's probably the best way to summarize the transformation of this kit, is that a lot of it is just basically kind of simplified from what you have to do with the Master Grade, and it all just works kind of a little bit better. So I think Bandai was able to kind of take what they've practiced before and just kind of perfect it for this kit, and that works really well. There are a few areas where I will say that some parts do get kind of finicky, especially in the thighs. I mentioned before, the thigh armor tends to come apart very easily while you're transforming that and bending it anyway. Also, the forearm, if you're not too careful, you can kind of pull the parts apart while going through the transformation process. So just be careful, follow the instructions, you'll be fine. If things come apart, you can just put it back together. It's not a big deal. One thing that can be kind of a hassle, basically just due to the design, is the Armed Armor XC on the backpack and the Armed Armor DE on the shield can kind of clash into each other because they're both kind of very big parts kind of splaying out, and they're kind of intersecting there at the top above the Gundam in the back there. So depending on your pose, you're going to have those parts kind of clashing into each other a bit. So there you go. That's pretty much going to do it for this kit overall. It is very nice. I'm sure there's probably a few little bits that I forgot to mention. One thing that I forgot to show you guys in the accessories and things is that it does come with a small extension piece for connecting the Armed Armor DE onto the backpack. I didn't show you guys that, but it's pretty prominently shown in the anime, and of course it's one thing that you can do with this kit is, especially when it's in Unicorn mode, using the Armed Armor DE as a booster shield connected onto the backpack. So you can do that, of course, but another thing that I just want to show you guys that is how effective this is under UV light. So under UV light, obviously all those Psycho Frame parts are going to be shining very brightly, looking very cool, especially with the dark colored armor, how that's so dark, it's not going to be pretty much reacting to the UV light at all, except maybe glowing a little bit purple, which is pretty cool. And then the other thing that is with the Armed Armor XC and the backpack, in behind the clear parts for that of the Psycho Frame, you have these foil stickers, part of the stickers, I guess, the sticker decals that go in there behind there, and that allows those clear parts to shine really brightly and really nice, even without UV light. I mean, just naturally, those clear parts there in the Armed Armor XC look really good. That's definitely a really nice point of the new parts for this kit. So overall, the kit looks fantastic. I will say, while the articulation is great, and that allows you to put it in pretty much any pose that you would like. Actually, the process of getting it into the pose, the actual process of posing this kit can be a little bit frustrating at times because, like I said, some parts are really tight, some parts are a little bit finicky and like to fall off kind of easily. So it does take a little while to get it into exactly the pose that you're looking for. But once you do get it into the pose, then it is, of course, going to look really cool. So that's just kind of the trade-off, I guess, with this kit. One last point of articulation that I found a little bit frustrating is the neck. When you're trying to do poses and have the head pointing up, it can't really point up really far enough for me. That's just my personal taste, and it depends on what pose you want to do. But anyway, it's just one thing that I did find a little bit frustrating. But overall, as you can see, it's an absolutely fantastic kit. Is this the best version of the Unicorn? I'm talking the real grade in general, either the Unicorn or the Banshee. Is it the best version of the Unicorn ever? That's probably, it depends on what you're defining that by, and I gotta say, it kind of depends on what you want out of the kit. Ultimately, I think it is probably the best version of the Unicorn out there, all in all, but I think I still prefer the just overall look and proportions of the Master Grade personally, but I don't know. Why don't we, in the near future, take a look at comparing the real grade and master grade side by side? What I want to do is do a kind of comparison video, not talking about exactly different versions exactly, because different accessories and things like that will depend, but what I want to do is just talk about it like in the broadest sense. What are some of the biggest differences between the master grade and the real grade? So that's what I've got planned for the future, guys. I do have the new recently released master grade Banshee Verka, so I'm going to be reviewing that kit, and I'm going to be kind of focusing on comparing the real grade and the master grade for you guys in that soon. So if you're between the two on what you want, maybe you prefer 1/100 scale kits, but you're hearing what everyone's saying about how great the real grade is, hopefully you'll find the comparison video to be helpful. So stay tuned for that in the near future. Again, huge thank you to USA Gundam Store, guys. Do check out their site down below. Shop there, support them, say what's up. And as always, guys, leave any other questions or comments down below. I'll see y'all next time. Bye-bye.
Wow, look at that shine.
Hey, thanks for watching, guys. Remember, if you want to check the kit out for yourself, you can head over to USA Gundam Store. Use that coupon code ZakuAurelius10. Save yourself 10%. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time. Bye-bye.